adjust your volume. That low-frequency rumble you're imagining right now isn't an earthquake, it's a warning. For the last 5 years, the motorcycle industry has been playing it safe. We have been spoon-fed efficient parallel twins, polite exhaust notes, and designs that look like they were generated by an algorithm to offend the fewest number of people possible. We have been lulled into a sense of complacency, believing that the era of raw, unadulterated mechanical aggression was over. But deep in the factories of Mandello del Lario, something has been sleeping. Something dark, something angry. And in 2026, that something is finally waking up to remind the world that a motorcycle should scare you just a little bit. If you think you know what a muscle cruiser is, forget everything. Because the bike we are discussing today doesn't just break the rules, it sets them on fire. Stay with me, because there is a secret hidden in this machine's engineering that changes the entire game. A surprise feature we will reveal later that turns this cruiser into a sport bike hunter. The resurrection of the dark soul. Welcome back to the cutting edge of two-wheeled performance. Today, we are dissecting the resurrection of a legend. The Moto Guzzi Audace was always the rebellious child of the Italian lineup, the bad boy sibling to the California touring cruiser. But the 2026 model, which has just broken cover through a series of confirmed leaks and insider reports, is not just a refresh. It is a complete reinvention of what an Italian muscle bike can be. The name Audace means bold, but looking at the specs and the darkened silhouette of this 2026 iteration, Audace feels too polite. This is a machine built for the rider who prefers the midnight shift, the rider who wants their presence felt before they are even seen. Moto Guzzi has taken the feedback from the last decade, stripped away every ounce of unnecessary weight, and injected the chassis with the kind of steroid cocktail that would get an athlete banned for life. The heart of the beast, the V1400 revolution. Let's talk about the engine, because in a Moto Guzzi, the engine isn't just a component. It is the entire personality of the motorcycle. The transverse V-twin is iconic, sticking out the sides like a flexed bicep. But for 2026, the architecture has evolved. We are looking at the new titanium block 1400cc power plant. Unlike the air-cooled lumps of the past, this engine integrates the liquid cooling precision found in the V100 Mandello, but scales it up for massive torque application. The engineers have managed to keep the cooling fins purely for aesthetic, heritage, while hidden radiators manage the thermal dynamics of a beast pushing out a rumored 135 horsepower. But horsepower is just a vanity metric on a bike like this. The real story is the torque. 110 foot-pounds available at just 2,800 RPM. This means you don't need to downshift to pass traffic. You just think about twisting the throttle, and the horizon is suddenly behind you. The flywheel inertia has been lightened, meaning this massive engine spins up with a ferocity that contradicts its size, giving you a throttle response that feels telepathic. Design philosophy, a study in shadows. Visually, the 2026 Audace is a masterclass in anti-chrome. If the California is a tuxedo, the Audace is a carbon fiber tactical vest. Every surface that could catch the light has been matte finished, ceramic coated, or anodized in nightshade gray. The fuel tank is a long sculpted teardrop that features knee cutouts lined with Alcantara, a touch of luxury in a brutalist package. The front end is dominated by a completely redesigned full-matrix LED circular headlight that retains the classic Guzzi eagle silhouette in the daytime running lights, but now functions with adaptive cornering illumination. The handlebars are straight drag bars mounted on risers that pull the rider into a fighting crouch. You aren't sitting back on this bike. You are leaning into the wind, attacking the road. The rear fender is chopped short, exposing a massive 240-section rear tire that looks like it was stolen off a Formula One car. It is a design that looks fast standing still, a brutal sculpture of metal and rubber that refuses to apologize for its existence. The chassis and handling, dancing with giants. One of the biggest criticisms of old-school muscle cruisers is that they can go fast in a straight line but fall apart the moment you show them a corner. The 2026 Audace addresses this with a completely new frame geometry. The double cradle steel frame uses the engine as a stressed member to increase rigidity by 40% compared to the previous generation. Suspension duties are handled by massive 50mm Marzocchi pressurized forks up front and a fully adjustable Öhlins monoshock at the rear, hidden to maintain the hardtail look. What this translates to is a ride quality that is firm but compliant. When you throw this bike into a curve, it doesn't wallow or weave, it tracks like a laser. The wheelbase has been slightly shortened to improve agility in urban environments, making this 650-pound machine feel 200 pounds lighter once the wheels are turning. Braking is handled by top-tier Brembo-style calipers, biting onto dual 320mm floating discs, ensuring that when you need to stop this freight train, you can do so with one finger. Electronics and technology. The invisible safety net. While the styling screams 1970s outlaw, the brain of the 2026 Audace is pure science fiction. It features a minimalist, single-dial TFT display that looks like an analog gauge, but offers a customizable interface. Under the skin, a 6-axis inertial measurement unit, IMU, manages a suite of rider aids that keep you safe without ruining the fun. You get cornering ABS, traction control with distinct levels of intervention, and wheelie control, which, believe it or not, you will actually need with this much low-end torque. The ride modes are distinct. Rain cuts the power for safety, Turismo offers a smooth, flowing delivery for highway miles, and Veloce unlocks the full aggressive potential of the engine. But there is a fourth mode, a new addition for 2026, simply labeled Corsair. In this mode, the rear ABS is disabled, the traction control allows for significant drift angles, and the throttle response becomes instantaneous. This is the mode for the rider who wants to feel the edge of the tire and the edge of their sanity. The Troimija surprise, the Anima. Active geometry system. Now I promised you a surprise, something that sets this bike apart from every other cruiser on the market. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2026 Audace features the world's first Anima active geometry system on a cruiser. This isn't just electronic suspension. This is active aerodynamics and ergonomics. When you switch the bike into Veloce or Corsair mode and exceed 60 miles per hour, two things happen. First, small carbon fiber winglets deploy from the side of the radiator shrouds to generate downforce, keeping that front wheel planted. But the real magic is in the rider triangle. The foot pegs utilize a hydraulic shift mechanism to move backward by 2 inches, and the handlebar risers lower by 1 inch. This system actively transforms the bike from a comfortable, feet-forward cruiser into a semi-aggressive street fighter geometry while you are riding. It allows you to cruise in comfort on the highway and then physically morph the bike into a canyon carver when the roads get twisty. It is a piece of engineering wizardry that binds the rider to the machine in a way we have never seen before. Conclusion. The verdict. The 2026 Moto Guzzi Audace is more than just a motorcycle. It is a statement of defiance. In a world rushing towards silence and automation, this is a machine that celebrates the mechanical soul. It vibrates, it heats up, it roars, and it demands physical input to ride well. It bridges the gap between the classic Italian heritage of style and the American demand for raw power, all while introducing technology that feels genuinely revolutionary rather than gimmicky. It is not a bike for the beginner, and it is certainly not a bike for the shy. It is a premium, high-octane experience for the connoisseur of speed who wants something different from the sea of Harleys and Ducatis. Next steps, and sign off. This bike represents a bold new chapter for Moto Guzzi, and, frankly, it is the most excited I have been about a cruiser in a decade. But what about you? Does the Anima active geometry system sound like the future of riding, or just another part to break? I want to hear your thoughts in the comments below. And listen, the motorcycle world is moving fast. Models are leaking, specs are changing, and release dates are shifting every single day. If you want to stay ahead of the curve and be the most knowledgeable rider in your group, you need to subscribe to Bike Updater Pro. We are working around the clock to bring you the news before it hits the mainstream. Hit that like button, Subscribe to Bike Updater Pro, and until next time, keep the rubber side down and the throttle wide open.